All right, everyone. Um, Welcome to Net Plus session. Hopefully, you had a great 4th of July holiday. Mine was good. So, all right. So today, my favorite topic, Net Plus. Um, I'm not going to do a big thing on the objectives. I just like to always start here, just in case someone isn't aware of them. This is your roadmap to success here to any CompTIA exam that you're going to be taking. Make sure you have the objectives. If you want to see an overview of how to use the objectives on any exam, you're going to want to go to the student forum. Give me just a second here to bring it up. Come down to the new student zone. And there is a topic here at the top. This says why you should be using the objectives to prepare for your exam. This will kind of walk you through why and how to use them. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time doing that. It's just kind of redundant for a lot of people. So if you haven't seen this, then take a look at it. It'll give you an idea of how you should be trying to prepare for each exam. Okay, let's come back to the objectives. Okay, so what I mentioned before is normally I have sample questions up here and we just kind of practice dissecting them and figuring out, how to get to what's important and what's not. What I want to start with today is I want to point towards a few resources that you may not be aware of, or if you are, how to get a hold of it. Okay, so these are kind of alternative to what's directly provided through LearnKey, but these are really good resources, especially for those of you that are hands-on learners. Okay, so one of them is Hands-On Simulator. Okay, this one is actually through Pearson. It's this right here. Okay, and I'll show you where you can get your hands on it in just a second. But what this is it basically gives you there's 3 different types. Okay, if I come to sort by lab, you can see there's a matching type, which you will see. I just had a matching question on my A+ exam last week. Drag and drop, and then simulation, right? So just about anything that you can do on the exam outside of outside of the multiple choice. That's what I was looking for, right? So I'll give you an example here. One that's actually relevant for A+ as well as Net Plus. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this one right here, this is going to be relevant for not only Net Plus, but A+ as well, right? And this is just a simple matching. So you're just matching up your port numbers with your protocols, right? Which is very important. Like I said, not just for Net Plus, but definitely for Net Plus, for A+ as well, and also security, right? Just being able to match up the common port numbers with the protocols is something that you're going to need to know how to do. If you know these, if you can match these up, then these will be give me questions. If you see them on the exam, you'll be happy you got it. Okay, so and then there's another type here. Let's see if I can find it. Ethernet Technologies, yeah. Okay, so let's just do a random one, see what this one looks like. These little icons give you an idea of the type of question it is, or the type of module it is. So you can see this one is a little bit more hands-on, right? You have a switch here, and then you have a PC. And you can see when I click between both of them, down here your syntax changes. So I can actually log into the switch. And if you don't know how to configure a switch, it has basic activities over here that walk you through each step, right? You have step 1 here, and it tells you, what to do. how to get into it, right? So this is a really good tool because it gives you access to a switch, right, through a virtual network here, right? This is basically, it's a network, even though there's only two devices here, right? There's a switch and a PC. They're communicating with each other, right? So you can learn some basics about, configuring and things like that. Okay, so this is another type of module that you'll see here. You get to go through the activities and kind of learn the why behind some of this stuff. Okay, and then there's another one that I wanted to show. My favorite part here is the troubleshooting, because this is the biggest part of all of these exams, not just Net Plus, but troubleshooting. She is absolutely right. Okay, I saw the exact same thing when I was taking my exam last week. So it's not just a Net Plus thing. It's just the wording. It's the way that asks the questions. It just kind of throws you off. I don't really know how to explain it. If you've taken the exam, you already know. If you haven't, I don't know how to explain it. But we have all these practice exams. We have LearnKeys post assessments, right? And then we have CertMaster. We have Exam Compass, and all these different practice exams that you use, they all word the questions differently, but none of them, like she said, none of them prepare you for what you see when you sit down and you take the exam. It's just the way that they word it just kind of throws you off. So you have to try your best to be prepared for that. Just look for the keys. Don't focus too much on all of the words in the questions. Look for the keywords, because normally there's going to be at least one, and it kind of stands out. It'll be all caps. That's what I saw. I saw a lot of first, next, and best on my last CompTIA exam. So look for those, okay, and try not to get wrapped up in all the other stuff. That'll give you an idea what you're looking for. But yeah, this one right here, this one is just a basic matching, right? You're putting your troubleshooting steps in order. Make sure you can do this, okay? I mean, you could easily get a question just like this on the exam. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave you a question exactly like this and wants you to put these in order, right? Because that's what they're going to be doing on the exams. They're going to be putting you somewhere in the troubleshooting process, and you're going to have to try to figure out where you are, and then what's the next best step from wherever you are. Sometimes you're at the beginning, and so the next step should be easy. It's probably going to be the simplest thing available. But sometimes they put you in the middle. So be ready for that. There's a few others, like just troubleshooting practice. I like this because it kind of gives you you have a little mini network here, right? Something similar to what you'll see at home. Right, you got a couple PCs, and you even got a gaming system here, right? You got a laptop, and then you have an activity over here that kind of walks you through the troubleshooting process. So this is a very good tool. Okay, this is something that actually it used to be provided, but we switched over to CertMaster because this only covered the Net Plus exam. They didn't have any of these for Security Plus or A Plus. Right, so they weren't universal, but this is still, it's an excellent tool. This is a hands-on person's dream right here, because it just gives you a ton of plug and play options that you can just come in here and play around with stuff. Okay, also the terminology is very important. It's real similar to what you're going to see on the exam, so you want to make sure that you can come in here and identify all this stuff. Right, because for the most part, they're going to be presenting it to you like this on the exam. This kind of gives you practice for that a little bit. But they talk in code, kind of. It's hard if you don't know the language. It's hard to pick up on sometimes, and it's frustrating too at the same time. Trust me. Okay, so those are the main types. You have your matching. And then you have your terminologies where you're just, matching up terms with their definitions or their descriptions, right? And then you have your hands-on ones where you can actually do some simple configurations, okay? I definitely recommend getting some practice playing around with some type of networking environment and practicing the concepts, watching them in action. That's when you really start to understand this stuff, because you're only going to learn so much from a lecture or even attending these sessions. I'm just kind of trying to give you guys an idea of things that can help you better understand this stuff. You really start learning it when you start doing it, definitely. So this tool can be acquired by going to Pearson's website. So let's go to PearsonITcertification.com. I'll put the link here in the chat box for you, for anyone that's interested in going now. I just saw your question, Jeffrey. No, it's not a free resource. I'm just getting there right now. Give me just a second. There's a link. Okay. And then, actually, that's the wrong link. Let me give you the actual one. So you're going to go to Hands-On Simulator, and you'll see here. For some reason, they still have the 006 version available, so just make sure you get the 007. There's more labs here, okay, more updated labs. So this is the one you definitely want to get. And you can see here, oh wait, let me go back, I'm sorry. That's right. So it's 39 bucks. There you go. So it's 40 bucks. Well worth it. Trust me. They could easily charge another 150 bucks for this, and it would still be worth it. So they always listed at 50 for some reason, but you always get it at 40. I've never seen it at actually 50. But it gives you a description of everything here that you get to do, and trust me, there's tons of labs here. So if you're someone that learns from doing this, you definitely want to make sure that you get this if you can. There you go. I put the link in there again. Okay. So what I want to do before I go away from this, I want to show you one more activity that's something similar to what you're going to see, what you can see on the exam. Okay. I saw this on my last 2 network exams, Net Plus exams. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Wireless antenna placement, okay? So when you see this little U-shaped thing here, this is like an activity, okay? So this right here is basically, it's a generic version of what you will see on the exam, but it's the same concept, and that's really what you want. If you understand the concept here, then you can do it on the exam no matter how different it looks. But, so you have a building here, right? And what you're basically doing is you're going to be setting up the access points to make sure that you maximize the signal inside the building while also minimizing the leakage outside. Okay, and so what they've done is they've given you different access points here, which, you know, they're just telling you what channel they're on, right? So they're saying this one's the access point, they're saying it's on channel 6, right? This one is a omnidirectional antenna, right? So this kind of requires you to know your antennas and know the characteristics of them, okay? This is something that you can see on the exam. So this is good practice for this, doing it here. And that way, if you see it on the exam, it wouldn't be your first time doing something like this, okay? The one on the exam, I forgot how it was different. I think there was like 2 buildings on that one, but it's the same concept. So this is good practice for that. Okay. And then, you know, there's a lot of other stuff in here too. If I open them all up, you know, you'll see there's a lot of different activities here. Command line, that's something you definitely want to get some experience with, because they ask you a lot of questions about, you know, troubleshooting. And command line is where you're going to go a lot of the times to get the information to decide, you know, what's the next step, right? How do I know that I need to run a trace route? Well, the reason I would run a trace route is because maybe ping wasn't enough, right? So, you know, things like that. Getting practice with this is definitely recommended. You can do this without even using this. You could practice, you could open up your own command line and just get some practice looking at the syntax and stuff, but for the output. But all these are good activities, so it's ready to do it here because you have an activity, you have someone that's walking you through something and showing you, what things should be looking like, right? When you have these figures, it kind of gives you the output that you should be seeing. So it kind of lets you know if you're doing it right or if you did something wrong. So, all right, come to the chat box real quick just to see what you guys are asking. Kelly says that she had a couple of similar simulations. Right. That's what I would expect for Net Plus, something like that, because I saw that on A Plus. I took A Plus last week and I had to configure an access point. So you would figure that they're going to take it a step further for the Net Plus exam, right? And they definitely do. So yeah, make sure you understand all this stuff. Make sure you get some playtime in configuring this stuff and looking at the output. Okay. Next one that I'm going to show you is a really good tool. This one is called, there's actually a link to it here in the forum, so I'll use the link to go to it under the Network Plus section. You come down and you'll see this packet tracer download. Okay. Now this is a free download. Okay, and this is more of a Cisco tool. All right, so this is a little bit more advanced than the Net Plus exam, and it's a little bit more focused towards Cisco, but it gives you access to a lot of networking devices, and that's why I like this. Okay, so including the LOT devices, right? I'll give you an idea of what that looks like in a second, because that's something that is included in the objectives. So, but yeah, you can download it here, and it has a course that kind of walks you through how to use it, how to use the actual tool. Okay, so if you are going to download this, I definitely recommend taking a look at that course, especially if you're a beginner to networking, because if you don't, you'll kind of be confused on how to use it. So, all right, and I'll give you an idea of what this looks like. Okay, so come out of here real quick. Open up a save that I have here. Office. Network. Let's see what this one looks like. UCertify had a couple of labs that were, so yeah. So UCertify is a tool that's going to be provided to you through LearnKey. So that is, yeah, that's also good to know. UCertify does have some tools that are similar to what I was showing. Kelly, you saying know the difference between different types of antennas? Yeah, definitely. For that one that I was just showing, and you'll be able to do that question easily. There were only 2 antennas on the test. I can't remember how many they had on the test. It's been a while since I took it, but okay. You know what? I don't like this one. Let me bring up another one. Okay. All right. So you can see here, this is one that I use quite often, actually. I built this one probably a few months back during the Net Plus session. So what you can see here is I have this little environment, right? This in the logical phase right here. Then it has like a physical, so there's like an office, and you can see like I have a little office here where it has all the devices. But anyway, so I have this little network here. I have some switches that I can play around with, and I have a couple routers here that I could play around with. I can change it. I can go into the command line, right? There's a lot of different things that I can do. These are 100% fully configurable, so there's no limitations here. The only limitation is your knowledge when it comes to this tool here. Okay, you'll probably be a little bit limited in the hands-on simulator because those activities are directed. So, you know, there's probably some features that you'll be allowed to do in each module, and probably some stuff that you may not be able to do. But here, the only limit is what you know how to do, what you don't know how to do. So this is a really good tool. It gives you access to a lot of devices, right? So you can see here I have like PCs and laptops, and these are all wired connected by wire, right? They're all wired connection. But I can come in here and find some access points. Where are we at? Switches, routers. So yeah, wireless devices, right? So you know you can throw some access points in here, and you can set the stuff up wirelessly too. You can do all kinds of stuff. And then look, there's a server up here, right? So there's basically no, I don't want to delete that. Sorry. Okay, so you can see, you know, there's two subnets here. You got one over here, and you got one over here, then you have one in the middle too, right? This is actually a VLAN as well. All three of these, and this is also interactive. So I could start sending packets through this network if I wanted to, and you can watch the packets go through it. Right, you come to simulation mode and just say that I want to send a ping from here to here. Where is? Oh, here it is. Right. If I hit play, move this out of the way, and you can actually watch it go through the network, right? And not only that, you can see the PDUs. You can see the information as it changes as it's going through the network, as it's going from here to here, right? And it's going from here to here. The source address is changing with each hop, right? And then you can see the actual information as it changes through here. So this is a really good tool for once you understand the basics of this stuff and you want to start getting into the advanced stuff. This is what this tool is for. Okay, so really good tool. This one is free. It gives you access to not only like end devices like this, but you know I could throw all kind of stuff out here. Right, I could start throwing tablets out here and TVs. You can start throwing out what else we got here? IP phones, right? These are like home devices. So let me show you the other aspect of this real quick. I was talking about the LOT devices, right? So I have a home network set up here, right? So you have your little home in the background, and you have all these devices that are configurable. They're all connected to the network, and you can control it from this tablet. If you go to the interface, so web browsing, you can log into the actual devices. Right? If I logged into this device here, configure the IP address. You can actually control wireless. All right, so it's 25.1. Right, so if I come back to this tablet here, I log into it should. I went to 25.0. See, so there's your gateway, and you have to know the password. And I don't even know if I know the password. Let me see. Been a while since I set this up, so yeah, I don't know the password. But if I did, I'd be able to log in, and then I'd be able to control everything here. I can turn the sprinklers on over here, right from the tablet. I can open the garage door. I can open the front door, right? You can turn on this fan over here. So this is a really good tool as well because it gives you access to some of the other devices that you probably wouldn't have access to, right? You have a virtual environment here, so you can practice connecting these and using these um, without having to spend any money, right? This is a free tool. So you have access to a lot with this tool, and that's why I really like it. This is another thing that's not provided through LearnKey, but it's a really helpful tool, especially if you're a hands-on learner, because this gives you experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. So, really good tool. I love it. Again, it's more of an advanced tool. It's more intermediate networking. So it's kind of once you understand the basics of the stuff and you're ready to kind of go to the next level, then Packet Tracer would be a nice tool. Let's see. Going back to the questions, Jason. Okay, you said Jason said that there were only 2 on the chest. No, there's few, and there's a Yagi too as well, Kelly. So there's a unidirectional, right? There's the omnidirectional, the parabolic. There's the 90-degree, right? There's the Yagi for long distances, right? Those are the main ones. Those are the main antennas that you want to make sure that you know the characteristics of. It's more like a pole. Remember the name of it. Okay. And then the other one would be UCertify, like Kelly mentioned. This one, that's another one that's provided through LearnKey. So actually, that's the one of the few that I've been talking about that is provided through LearnKey. Let me see if I can bring that up. Give me just a second here. Okay, so UCertify, it's a pretty awesome tool as well. And you know, it's just like I thought. I have the Security and I have the A+, but I don't have the Net Plus. So same concept though. Does anyone have it? We can use your screen to display it. If not, just fine. I mean, it's the same concept. I just don't have the actual Net Plus course. Same thing, right? So you have these different icons. This is a hands-on tool. You have these different icons, and these Windows ones that you see here, these are actually virtual machines. So these are virtual versions of some of these other operating systems. So that's why this is really good for people that are doing A+, especially the second exam where the operating systems is the focus. Because instead of actually having the RAM and having to go out and purchase or having to go out and install virtual machines, which you should do if you haven't done it, just to get to practice or, you know, just to say that you did. But you won't be dependent on that, right? Maybe you don't have the RAM for that or something. They provide you virtual machines here, and there's quite a few of them, right? There's activities that come with each of these, but, you know, if I click on one, you'll quickly see that, you know, it loads up pretty fast. And it's basically, it's a version of Windows 8, right? I can come in here and say that I want to said I want to play around with in the command line, right? Oh, I was about to say. Maybe I was wrong. No, it is working, right? So let's say I want to play around in the command line, but I don't want to do it on my own system. Well, you can do it on this one, right? Because there are some utilities, some command line utilities that you may want to get some practice looking at, but you may not want to mess around with on your personal system, right? Like this part, right? If you put the wrong command in here, you could mess up your partitions. So this is probably not a command that you want to mess around with on your your personal PC. Another one would be format, right? You don't want to be playing around with format. But inside a virtual machine, you should be fine, right? You're not going to do any damage. So, this is where you wanted to play around with like commands with like this, right? Where you could actually do some damage if you hit the wrong key. So, really good tool, and it has a ton of other features as well. When you see something like this little circle with the box inside, this is more of a hands-on thing. Let's see if I can find identifying the PCI bus. All right, so you see like this little motherboard here. I actually prefer this one. Oh yeah, maybe this one. Okay, so based on this one, you're basically just installing a processor to the the CPU to the CPU slot, right? If you know where it is and where it should go, it should be pretty simple, right? You just move it over. And so this kind of saves you, if you're taking A+, this is like the next best thing to having your own hardware there to do this. I prefer having the actual hardware there. And then that way, you actually feel the weight and you know how to actually install it. You can see what happens if you install it wrong, right? There's just a lot of extra components to having the physical equipment there. But, this is the next best thing if you don't have it. At the very least, you can visualize it, right? So, and then, there's quite a few here. These are the virtual machines. This is like matching, right? When you see the little double arrows, this is a matching question. So you're matching the terminology with the terms. So this is a good tool too. Some people like it, some people don't. But I would prefer this to reading, right? Or to me, the best tool is a virtual environment. Where you can actually put switches and routers together and configure them, and watch them in action. There's no substitute for that. But if you can't do that, then just find the next best thing. Okay. So I do still have this up, and I kind of started that. If you remember, I started a ping that was going around, right, and it's kind of still going because I didn't stop it yet. And I told you could actually see the everything in action. Well, here it is. Right, it's just kind of happening on the side here, and you can see with each thing going out, you can see the actual protocols here, right? So if any of you know what the protocol for ping is, right, you'll know that's what this is right here. And I sent that ping from here to here, and you can see it going through the network actually, right? And if I double click on, remember how I told you that you can see how it changes as it goes through the network. When I double click on one, right, which I did up here somewhere, I double clicked on it. Let me stop this because it keeps. Where's stop? Okay, yeah, I think it's stopped now. So what you can actually see is everything that's happening as the packets are going through the network. So this is the ping, the initial ping. And then once the ping was over, you know, you're starting to see spanning tree, right? That's what STP is, spanning tree. You see OSPF right here, right? So you can just, this tells you right here which routing protocol I configured for this network. I configured OSPF, right? You can see the DHCP request from the tablet. Remember, I just put the tablet in? I just put this tablet in here, and it's asking for an address. Where was it? Right here, right? You can see this tablet asking for the, oh, stop. I can't get this thing to stop. Someone see a stop button? Maybe I gotta hit back. Nope, still going. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's what I like about this tool. It gives you a lot of information, right? This is the OSI layer right here, right? You got your 7654. So it's telling you which layer it's at. When it's at the switch, it's obviously it's at layer 2, right? When it's at the router, it should be at layer 3, right? Second here. There we go. Right. So here at this router, you can see we're at layer 3, and it shows you what this looks like, right? So you have your IP address, it has the source, and it has your destination, right? And that should be changing as it's going through the network. The destination should always be the same. The destination MAC address or IP should always be the same, but the destination MAC address changes because when it's here, the destination is the switch, right? And then when it's here, when it's at the switch, the destination is the router, right? And then when it's at the router, the destination is the next router as it goes all the way through. As it goes all the way through the network. So this is a really good tool to understand how the headers are in the PDUs, right? You got the PDU details up here, and it shows you what it actually looks like, right? And this, I mean, this is where you really start to dive deep into this stuff and understand it at a greater level. And once you get there, then you'll feel comfortable with this stuff. But you're not going to get this from many resources, right? You're not going to get this from the hands-on simulator, right? You're not going to get this from you're only going to get this from like an actual network, and that's what this tool is. So, really good tool. I like it. I love it actually. It's really good to practice the concepts and put them into action once you understand them. You know, once you've gone through your training and you understand the concepts, you want to start putting them into action so you can get that greater level of understanding. All right. Any questions on this stuff? We got about 10 minutes left. So my main purpose today was just to show you guys some tools that really help. Because, you know, when we go back to the objectives, I think they were here. Yeah, there they go. Go back to the objectives. And another thing that Kelly mentioned was the acronyms, right? You're going to see a ton of them, obviously, with ports and protocols. You're going to see them. So, yeah, make sure you know these and what they do. But you're also going to see them, like, throughout here, right? OSPF, understand what it is and when you would use it, right? It's a link state routing protocol, right? But not only that, what are the characteristics of a link state routing protocol? And what type of network would you use it? And, you know, things like that. You have to understand that stuff, right? Why would you want to use EIGRP versus OSPF? Right, versus RIP version 2, right? All that stuff is important to understand, okay? But let me get back to this real quick before I lose my train of thought. Right, she mentioned the acronyms. You definitely need to know them. Your list is down here. And my best advice when it comes to the acronyms, because there's so many of them, the best advice I could give is instead of trying to learn all of these, just focus on the ones that are in the objectives somewhere. So if they're up here, make sure you know what it is and what it does. Okay, what it's for. And then the other thing is group them. Okay, group them together because, right, you have like a certain set here, right? You have command line ones, command line protocol, and then you have like your ports and protocols, right? So try your best to group them. And then that way, even if you don't know what it is, sometimes you can associate, you can say, well, I know it's not a command line tool. So the question is about command line tools and you see TCP in there, you know to throw it out, right? TCP is not, you're not going to be using TCP in command line, right? Same with like, if they're asking about ports and protocols and you see IP config, even if you don't know what IP config is, if you know it's command line, then you can throw it out if they're asking you a protocol question. You know what I mean? So try your best to group them. And and that will help, right? You don't necessarily need to know every one, but just try your best. If you see it up here, put it on a flashcard and study it until you know it. And then that way, if you see it on the exam, like I said, at least you can group it, okay? And then the last thing that I wanted to just stress is the reason I was showing you all those tools is because you have this list of stuff down here, like, of equipment that they recommend that you play with. And most of us don't have this stuff laying around, right? But if you get your hand on Packet Tracer, you get access to a lot of this stuff, right? And like I said, it's 100% fully configurable. So at least it is in Packet Tracer. There'll probably be some limits in the Net Plus in the hands-on simulator, but anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to stress in today's session. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. Are there any questions or any concepts that someone wants me to talk about, or we still have some time? Going to the question list right now. So give us a key for you certified. Yes, Jeff, you should be getting a key for you certified once you get through Online Expert. Once you get through all your sessions in Online Expert, then you move on to, I'm not sure if they give you CertMaster first or you certified first, but you will get access to both of those. Once you
They gave me both at the same time, Tristan.
Awesome. That's even better. Because CertMaster is it's just a testing engine. It's kind of like testing what you know, but you're going to learn a lot more playing around and you certify first. So you kind of want to test your knowledge once you've gone through the other resources and, you kind of strengthen your knowledge there first before you start testing it. So that's good. Okay. Dan says he's writing this rep to get a look at a few classes on networking in college. Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps too if you can handle the load. If you're going full time for LearnKey, through Voc Rehab, you owe them 20 hours a week. So, if you can squeeze in some more time out of college or something, if you can handle it, I would recommend it because, you get another source of information, you get another group of people to work with. But more than likely you'll probably get more tools too. So right, tools that aren't provided through us. So if you can get that, then do it. Yeah, Dan, it's hard to cover everything. He's saying that it was a few years ago. Jeffrey's saying when reading through the book or workbook, you find saying the terms instead of abbreviating them. Yeah, that helps too. If you come around one that's an acronym, if you say it out loud, that kind of helps with memory. If you write it down, the more dimensions you add to your learning, the more likely you retain it. So if you hear something, you're more likely to remember it if you hear it and say it. You're more likely to remember it if you hear it, say it, and write it. Create a song about it. The more that you do, it helps you remember. So, Kelly says review every time you open the fridge. That's a really good idea. Put like some flashcards or something in the fridge. Put it on the cookies. Put port numbers, like random port numbers on the cookies. Okay, Jeffrey's saying when using VA benefits, would they cover the fee for resources such as the hands-on seminar? That's an excellent question. The answer is yes and no. It depends. Some students are able to get your voc rehab counselor to purchase additional resources for you. Some people aren't. It depends on your voc rehab counselor and how much they want to help you. When I went through the program, I asked for additional resources that weren't covered with the program, and I didn't have any problem getting them. As long as you can convince your voc rehab counselor that it's something that'll help you, for the most part, they'll do it. In my experience. But then again, that was my voc rehab counselor. I've had other students say that their voc rehab counselor is strictly by the book. So my best advice is just ask. The worst I can tell you is no. But in my experience, my personal experience, when I needed additional resources that weren't provided, I always got them. So Jeff says my counselor will. It may be one. Yeah, exactly what I just said. Yeah. So, okay. Online. Yeah, Kelly's saying there's quite a bit of stuff on StarMaster that wasn't on Online Expert. And that happens because you're switching, you're going between learning resources, right? Once you go outside of Online Expert, you're in a different realm. Someone else is writing those questions. So, okay. Kelly says she has to fight for the ink. We all do, Kelly. We all do. Yeah, and that just goes to show it's case by case, and it's voc rehab counselor by voc rehab counselor. Dan's saying his took good care of him. So. Right. Any other questions or concepts? Kelly, what I will do for the next session is I will do a session, another session on subnetting, because I don't think we do actually have a recorded one. It's older, but that will help for those that are moving on to Cisco as well, because you have to know how to subnet. For Net Plus, you really just, I'm not sure how much subnetting they have you do. Like I said, they didn't give me any questions on my last exam. So, but it's really, you have to either find out, which subnet a particular address is on, or you need to find out which subnet mask you're going to use for a particular subnet, right? So you need 30 devices or you need 60 devices for this department, right? Which subnet mask are you going to use, right? Or in some cases, they'll give you a subnet or an address, and they'll say, what's the first usable address in this subnet, or what's the last usable address in this subnet. Okay, so those are the main things that you're going to see with subnetting on Net Plus. It doesn't really go too much past that. So those concepts, those are easy to get once you understand it and you put some practice in it. Those are pretty easy. When you get to Cisco, you're going to see a lot more subnetting. It's not going to be subtle. So anyway, okay, we're about at the end. If anyone doesn't have any questions, we'll go ahead and end this session, end the recording. And this will be posted in a day or two. Once I have some time to go through and look for any edits, I'll have it posted. So if anyone wants to go back and view it, they'll be able to. But great session, guys. See you next time.